to start?
I am ready. We will call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amy, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Dibdahl?
Here.
Commissioner Wolf? Here. Commissioner Wire?
Here.
Commissioner Berge?
Here.
And Mr. Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything on the consent calendar anyone wants to discuss? If not, do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the consent calendar?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under appearances, we have Mike Waldner with Secure South Dakota. So Mike, if you would mind coming up and pushing on that button until you get the little red light.
Try again.
Okay, there you got it. And then if you would move that close enough to you so that the people at home and that can hear things plainly and clearly, it'd be appreciated.
How's that, Mr. Mayor?
That's very good, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, again, I'm Mike Wallner. I'm the director of Secure South Dakota. It's a cybersecurity project statewide for every municipality and every county across South Dakota. And the city of Madison has been a part of this and been involved in the program. And basically, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about it. And actually, before we do that, what I will do is, if I may, just a quick explanation of the program. I promise, Mr. Mayor, it won't be an hour and a half. So Secure SD in 2024, the state legislature appropriated $7 million to the Attorney General's office to improve the cybersecurity posture of every city and county across South Dakota, municipalities and counties. And at that time, the Attorney General's office then turned to Dakota State University with their cybersecurity experts and said, okay, we need to set up a program to do this. In doing that, we narrowed it down to 3 areas. Number 1 threat vector for cybersecurity is email. So we have a secured email solution available. Number 2 is doing assessments, whether it be technical assessments and strategic assessments, and mitigating any vulnerabilities that are out there. And when we're talking about vulnerabilities, we're talking about end-of-life equipment. So Secure SD funds and pays for items like firewalls, switches, servers that might be end of life. And so that is one of the areas that we work at. In doing that, and before we do that, back to those assessments, we do a technical assessment. We partner with another branch within DSU called Project Boundary Fence, and they do the technical assessment. If they find any vulnerabilities, Secure SD then steps in and pays an IT vendor to come and mitigate, fix, repair, and again, maybe slow down whatever that vulnerability might be. So that's the kind of the 2 flagship items, projects within the program. And then the third one is education. And this is where we start talking about how can we secure the human firewall? How can we keep that employee or even elected officials from clicking on that phishing attempt? How can we keep them from clicking on that link of a made-up email? How can we keep the finance officer, the auditor, from changing bank account numbers and sending finances and bills to the wrong bank account? All of that education and that training is another part of the program that we work on. So those are the three main areas, and I guess so far today, to date, Madison has, and let me grab my trusty little sheet here. Madison has taken advantage of, to the tune of about little over $13,000. I think we bought some switches. We did a firewall review and just took a look at the configuration of the firewalls. Had a third party come in and review that firewall, make sure there wasn't any old rules or anything in there that was abnormal and shouldn't be in there. And right now, we also then have, I think the biggest part is the 2 work orders that we have open right now, and that is for the secured email solution. And that's what I'm here maybe to answer some questions on that. And before I answer questions on it, the first question I have is that I always tell and ask everybody when they're considering, do we stay with the email system that we have, or do we go with the Secure SD secured email solution? Now, City of Madison's in a pretty good spot. Kudos to Jed for all of the work that he's been doing and doing as far as cybersecurity for our city. Being a citizen of Madison, obviously I appreciate the efforts and the work on that. A lot of other cities and counties as well, their emails today are Yahoo, their Gmail, their Hotmail. And again, with this money going through the Attorney General's office, right now we have sheriffs, deputies, PD that are sending confidential case information back to the Attorney General's office, DCI, and other law enforcement entities through Gmail. And it's very scary because obviously it's insecure. And then if we have to do any type of discovery, now we're going in and we're discovering and we take over their entire mailbox, which is many times also their personal mailbox. Now again, Madison has a commercial email solution right now. And so my biggest question is, are you a government entity? Obviously, we know the answer to that. That's my lawyer question, right? You always ask if you know the answer. And so, yeah, exactly. Because we are a government entity, our email, and not just our email, but also our data and our information, our Word documents, our Excel our budgets, all of that information should be in a government-level data center. And when we're talking about these government-level data centers, what we're talking about is data centers that are only in the continental U.S. So none of this data and none of this information is in any other data center overseas. It's in the U.S., and also all the employees who work in those data centers are also background checked, and they are U.S. citizens. They're, again, not eliminating, but limiting the insider threat as well from foreign actors gaining access into data centers and then gaining access into data that you've stored that is now in some data center across the globe. And so that's probably one of the biggest thing with the secured email solution. One other part of that is that I think also gets overlooked, and I mentioned it earlier, but I want to make an emphasis of it, is all of your other data, again, your Word documents, if you have GIS maps, you have whatever it may be, your team's communications, all of that data is stored in that government level data center and in that government level cloud. The other part of that this also does is it helps your police officers with CJIS compliancy, because now you're in, again, you're in that government cloud. Also, because you're all in that one government cloud data center, a lot of times your communications, so finance officer, Amy, when you're sending out a budget sheet, that data may never ever leave and go into the public internet. It may there's a chance it could jet around as well, but a lot of times that data never leaves that data center. And you can also do high-level encryption with it too, if it's something that's that critical. So that's kind of my little spiel about it, and I could certainly go on for an hour and a half about the project. It is a massive project. We have 310 cities across South Dakota, 66 counties, and we're working with the majority of them.
Okay. Now, Mike, since we also have Mike Plooster here, and that we have a lot of our data in that that I'm very limited on knowledge in that on our electrical system. Is this tied with that as well?
So let me take a little bit of a step back. So any data and information for your, I'll say your electrical billing and everything, absolutely. Now, if you're talking OT and your outside technologies and some of your sensors and some of those kind of things, we will absolutely help pay if you need an additional firewall, you need some additional sensors for that. SecureSD will help fund that. Electrical and water, the two major critical infrastructures, not just for us, but on a national level, Department of Homeland Security and CISA agency, water and electric, as well as communications, and telecommunications. Those are their main critical infrastructure. So to a large extent, yes, it'll cover it as well.
Okay.
And and also if you have third parties that are trying to remote access in, that's another critical area that we definitely look at when we're doing our assessments. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jed.
So Mayor Lindsay, yeah, part of the $13,000 that we've already spent with Secure South Dakota actually has been earmarked for the OT with both electric and water. So we've actually just recently here finished those projects, so we're actually pretty secured up in those areas.
Very good, very good, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, it does look like we had two of the work orders were for the plant, and one was for the water, and one was library, and one was utilities, so yeah.
Okay. Very good. Commission, any questions or comments?
I really don't have any other questions outside of the $13,000 that we originally got through SecureSD. Then I have these two additional quotes. One is for the ongoing expenses over the year, and the other is migratory one-time costs, correct?
Correct.
And the intention was you guys were gonna cover this for the first year, or was it first 2 years?
So the program, SecureSD, goes, we have another 2.5 years to go. The quotes are for 1 year.
Okay.
So obviously the one-time expense is one time, right? Set up, get everything going and done. And then after that, we're just paying for support, maintenance, and licenses. And Microsoft, as I understand it, basically they'll let us do 1 year and get some pretty good pricing for 1 year. And then after that 1 year, we'll do another work order, renew it, and continue on for another 1.5 years.
Sure.
And if we're able to do that, my quick numbers, it should save the city of Madison somewhere around $150,000 for those licenses.
At the end of the program, does the pricing go back to its standard rate?
Great question, and exactly where I was headed to next. The elephant in the room is this originally was a 4-year project, and so again, we have 2.5 years left. So we can fund these licenses for those 2.5 more years. After that, the entity, in this case, City of Madison, will end up picking up those costs for the licenses going forward. Yep. The hope is that, of the program, is that we can get people up into that government cloud. It's unfortunate that we've had IT vendors who have not put government entities into this government cloud already, because we are government entities. Our data and our information should already be in those government clouds. And so that's what we're trying to do is take care of, what was it, the tune of 13,000 just for migrating all of your data and information into that. We want to try to eliminate those cost barriers. And then, once you're in there, pay for it for a couple of years so you can kind of gear up your budgets and get ready for it, and then continue to pay it, you know, after that. Now, pie in the sky, it'd be nice if it was continued funding. However, obviously, we can't make any of those promises.
Thank you.
If we can make it wildly successful and lobby other legislators or other entities for additional funding, I'm all for it, because this is so important.
So Jed, correct me if I'm wrong, after that, those dollars stop, our ongoing costs, the increase is roughly about $25,000 a year.
I got about, actually, we're currently paying around $28,727 per year. Cost will jump to $48,324 a year, which is an increase of about $19,596. Although, like Mike said, though, it's a much more secure product, so, you know, it's not really apples to apples in terms of the products, apples to oranges. It's kind of like, you know, the way I described it to a couple people is like, I can drive my Ford F-150 down the road, or I can drive, armored truck down the road, you know. Both are gonna get me there, but the one's gonna get me more, they're much more secure, and of course, the armored truck's gonna get worse gas mileage, right? So that's kind of how we sit in terms of that.
Sure.
Other questions or comments?
Thanks for being here, Mike.
Yeah.
Is this program purely preventative, or if the city did experience a cyber breach, are there any services that help with neutralizing the threat or remediation?
Absolutely, Mayor. Absolutely. If there is, and we've actually had, unfortunately, a few incidents across South Dakota, and after the incidents, we were able to come in and help fund some of the mitigation as to what caused the incident. And also, interesting that you bring that up, that's one of the things that we're gearing up for, is having a cyber team that can react to incidents across South Dakota. Obviously, within DSU, their advanced research lab, some of the smartest cybersecurity people I've come across. And if there's a bad enough incident, we're going to tap into that expertise. Yep.
Good.
Yeah, good point.
Other questions or comments? Okay. Jed, anything that was not covered that you would like covered?
No, that's pretty much it. Like Mike said, I do have 2 work orders sitting in my, my inbox waiting approval. And basically, that's my question is, does the city want to go forward with this project?
Okay. All right, if no further questions, thank you, Mike.
Yep, thank you. It's great to be here.
Yes, yes. Yeah, first time you've been in here on that side of the table, huh?
Exactly.
Yes.
Little different, but love it.
No,
Keep up the
very
good work.
Very good.
Thanks, Mike.
Under unfinished business, approve resolution 2025-27, setting 2026 electric rates. And Jameson, you or Mike?
Sure,
or-
I'll take a stab at this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this was unfinished business from our last meeting. This resolution sets the electric rates for 2026, starting January 1. It was tabled to have some additional discussions between staff, commission, and DGR Engineering, who has assisted us with structuring these rates. Those conversations have occurred, and we're ready to move forward. So this doesn't make a lot of changes. It does add on a surcharge of 1 cent, which is used to cover the projects that are coming up on our docket. So the usage and the base rates aren't seeing any changes, but that surcharge does on average increase by about 5%. The previous, a year ago, when we were looking at the rate increases needed to pay for the system improvements, we were looking at originally an 8% increase for this year, and so 5% is a better increase than anticipated, but we understand that it's still an increase for our consumers as well. Mike, would you have anything to add? I'll take that as a no. Okay, thank you, Mike. With that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Mike, this is something you plan to revisit on a yearly basis, correct? No?
Yes, yep, we'll start reviewing these rates, not only just electric, but water, sewer as well. We'll adjust, or not adjust, but we'll review the rates every December.
So Troy's recommendation last year, it's a guideline that will reevaluate Q3 of every year,
Blair's, yep.
or
Yep.
Blair, sorry,
Yep.
Blair.
Yep,
I believe the sewer was set at 8%, correct, initially, before they adjusted back down to 5.
Your mic is.
correct. Yep, it was set at, we were projected for an 8% increase. I do want to mention that it's not, when you look at the percent increase, it's not necessarily, you can take your personal bill and take it times 5% and that's it. It's not going to work like that. That's such a small sample size of the different rate classes that we do have. So we're looking for the revenue, a 5% increase of the revenue. So if people are looking at their bills, I just wanted to be upfront with them. If they look at their bill and they say, well, it's going to be a 7 increase, it's about our total revenue that we're looking at. That was the same as last year. They wanted an 8% increase on our total revenue to support those infrastructure projects.
And just to mention, and that those infrastructure projects, and that some of it is necessary because of the changes in that the power, that the city is gonna receive for power.
That's correct. We have 2 substations. One's gonna be a complete rebuild and, on the green substation, and then southeast sub, we're doing a new transformer and some lines there, so.
Yeah.
And those are, we have to do those.
Because currently in that, city is receiving 69 kV and it's gonna be going to 115.
That is correct.
And in order to be able to service the city of Madison residents in that, we need to make sure that our infrastructure is designed for that and we'll handle it.
Correct.
So, all right. Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-27, setting 2026 electric rates.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, first reading of ordinance number 1684, supplemental appropriations 2025. Jameson or Amy, you want to tackle this one?
I'll give her a start. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
So whenever we have supplemental appropriations ordinances, I always like to start out with what does that mean? So every year, we pass an appropriations ordinance that sets the budget for the next year, and undoubtedly, when we get into that year, things change, and we have to make sure to adjust the budget as needed to provide the appropriate amount of appropriations for our expenses. And so when we look at the state has a law that the general fund has to have those expenses supplemented so that each fund is not spending more than was originally budgeted for in that original appropriations ordinance. But it only is concerned with the expenses on what was planned. It doesn't look at incurred costs to the city. So I'll use an example. Whenever we get an unexpected grant or some funding that's flowing through us, it might not cost the city anything, but it still comes in as a revenue and it goes out as an expense. So that increased expense means that we are required to adjust that budget to provide the correct appropriations for that fund. So this ordinance comes through as a total increase in appropriations of about 7.6 million. It then states the sources of funding to provide those funds. And that is a big number, but there's a pretty significant portions of those funds that have good reasons behind those. So the community contribution that increases in $3.2 million, that is primarily for two different pieces that are flowing through the city, going to the Madison Area Development Corporation. First is the federal grant funds that go towards the industrial park. When we built the new street out on the south side of town, those are funds that come from the city, or excuse me, come from federal government, paying for a majority of that. LAIC, or MADC, is paying for a good chunk of it from there as well. The city did contribute a small portion to it, I don't remember the percent, but the vast majority of that project is paid for in either grant funds or other outside funds. Now, having said that, those funds still flow through the city, and so those increase our expenses, and we need to supplement our appropriations ordinance to account for that. The other project that flows through is the grant dollars that are going to the Early Learning Center here on Highland Avenue. Again, another large project that is being spearheaded by the MADC and comes through on our books, but isn't costing us what is being shown in the paper here. Other ones that stick out, and I won't go through them all, but I certainly, and Amy's here as well to answer any questions you might have. Some projects that might have been planned for 2024, didn't get wrapped up in that time, lingered in 2025, therefore hits the 25 budget, but was unaccounted for.
So would that be the 4192, the general government building?
The general government building of 376,000. There was some of the construction left on the project that was billed out in 2025, correct? Yep. It also includes the community center roof project, which was $177,000 that needed to come out of there. So we had replaced the community center roof in two different phases, and that second phase was in 2025. That was $177,000 of that amount. Other ones, so we had, this comes through in the highway and streets. We had 2 years of sidewalk improvement projects this year. Typically, we have 1 year, but the 2024 project wasn't done in 24, so this year had both the 24 and the 25 project, so that had increased costs there. The fire at the armory, that led to extra costs on the roof, and then the floor replacement, even though we're getting insurance dollars and other contributions, that comes through as expenses, so we have to adjust accordingly. The generator grant at the fire hall, a rooftop antenna here at the city hall. Many of these either have grants, insurance in some cases, but again, it increases our cost, so we have to adjust accordingly. And then on the electric fund, the transmission distribution, this is for those projects that we were mentioning with electric rates, the southeast substation expansion, and then the reconstruction of the green substation. Those are costs that are coming through, and then they are paid through the debt issued through a bond anticipation note. Amy, did I do a good job of butchering that?
You did a great job.
Okay,
of
excellent.
Perfection.
With that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? If none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1684, supplemental appropriations 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 13, acknowledge resolution number 2025-30, declare necessity for sidewalk repair improvement 2026, and set a hearing date of January 5th, 2026 at noon. Ryan, do you want to address this one?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Included in the agenda packet is a resolution of necessity that was prepared regarding sidewalk repairs. For this sidewalk repair project, the city is divided into 6 areas on a rotation, and one area is inspected annually, and a resolution is created to identify repairs needed in those areas. You'll see in the resolution that there's 34 instances noted of locations where repairs are necessary. Most of these areas are quite small. The largest piece is about 5 sidewalk panels, and they go down, you'll see a bunch of those that are listed at 23 square feet. That would be just a single panel. So while there are 34, there's not a lot of sidewalk at each location. Property owners have until August 21st of 2026 to make those repairs. And again, just like the agenda states, we're just looking at you to acknowledge the resolution and set that date of hearing for the next city commission meeting on January 5th.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to acknowledge resolution number 2025-30, declare necessity for sidewalk repair improvement 2026, and set the hearing date for January 5th, 2026 at 12 p.m.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 14, acknowledge resolution number 2025-31, declare necessity for sidewalk improvement 2026, and set a hearing date for January 5th, 2026 at noon, 12 p.m. Again, Ryan, you want to address this one?
Yes, thank you. So for this resolution, you'll see that there's a list of sidewalk areas that the sidewalk committee has recommended. Those were included in the resolution and referred to separately as projects 1 through 3. I won't get into too much detail on that unless you'd like me to, but those are listed in the resolution. They're North Catherine Avenue from Northwest 2nd Street to Northwest 8th, North Olive from Northwest 2nd to Northwest 9th, and North Kansas from Northwest 2nd to Northwest 6th Street. This would make those areas where property owners need to construct sidewalk where there isn't currently sidewalk at their own expense. Again, this needs to be completed on or before August 21st, 2026. The city has some sidewalk to install of our own there. So the initial step in this process is that the sidewalk committee meets and reviews a map of the areas in order to determine a priority recommendation for each given year. The goal is ultimately to get sidewalks completely through town, and that is the main function of that committee. The second step is where we're at, where the city commission tonight would acknowledge the resolution of necessity and set the date of hearing. We will then place a notice in the newspaper, and then we'll send a letter and a notice to affected landowners. And then on January 5th, the commission will have the opportunity to take action and make it binding. And also, any landowners can come and express concerns or ask any questions that they'd like to. This is the typical process that we've been following for about 20 years, and it was again followed this year. We do exceed requirements by state statute in our processes and give a little bit more advance notice to property owners, and it's worked well. I'll stand by if you have any questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to acknowledge resolution number 2025-31, declare necessity for sidewalk improvement 2026, and set the hearing date for January 5th, 2026 at 12 p.m.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 15, approve the 2026 to 2028 Teamsters Collective Bargaining Agreement. Jameson, do you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this year, as we are updating the contract with our Teamsters Local 120 union, it is a full contract opener. So we're just finishing a 3-year contract, and in that contract, each year, we only negotiated for wages and plus one item. And so then this is a full new contract, and so as a result, you'll see there's a longer list of changes that are being made, but in most cases, the changes are to simply clean up the contract and update it according to the way that things are currently run and make them more relevant than it used to be. In some cases, there were some more substantial changes. You know, we cleaned up the list of positions. There was a general labor position that isn't used, so that was removed. We created a solid waste operator at a grade 13. Right now, our solid waste operators are classified as heavy equipment operators, and we wanted to have job descriptions and titles that adequately reflect their positions. And then the heavy equipment operator was set at a grade 14, and we removed the opportunity to have the spraying certification. Now it's simply required for the position, whereas before, those with that certification had an extra grade increase. So some of those positions were changed, and otherwise, there was a lot of cleanup from previous contract. The agenda packet does have the full list, so happy to answer any questions. Of course, the big item is always going to be wage increases, and so this is negotiated for a 2.5% cost of living adjustment in addition to the 1.5% performance-based step increase. The last change I'll note is that there was a weekend differential added for the water treatment department, as these employees will have regular shifts on the weekend, and so they will receive an extra $1.50 per hour only on those hours worked on the weekends. With that, I will stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 to 2028 Teamsters Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 16, approve the memorandum of understanding with the IBEW Local 426. And again, Jameson, I'll ask you to address this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this ties with the next agenda item, number 17, which is the IBEW three-year contract. One part of that was to remove some language that is largely unneeded anymore. It's grandfathered language as it relates to sick leave. There was one employee left that is planning a retirement in January who does utilize that. And so IBEW was open to cleaning up that language as it won't be needed anymore in the contract. But they did want to make sure that we had an understanding that that current employee still has the same payout benefit that has been, the same understanding since he's been hired. So his retirement again is coming up in January, and so there's a week or two of employment that we want to make sure is understood that he would receive that same sick leave benefit. So the change in the sick leave was back in 2005. It was changed where the 25% of sick leave payout was capped at 25%. Before that, it was there was no cap on it, is my understanding. Let me read this again. Yes, that's right, yeah. So it's employees hired before that 2005 date had a higher sick leave payout, and we want to make sure that that is clear, that is still going to be the case for this employee. I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? Okay. If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with IBEW Local 426.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 17, approve the 2026 to 2028 IBEW Collective Bargaining Agreement. And again, Jameson, will you address this one, please?
Yes, sir. So this takes us to the full contract for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. This, like the Teamsters contract, is a three-year contract, so it's up this year. So a lot of the changes is for clarity, for updating, for cleaning up the contract. And then the proposed contract is for another 3 years. And the COLA for employees here is 2.4% as negotiated. And I don't know if there's any other items that really stick out. A lot of cleanup, but I'll stand by for any questions that you might have.
Questions or comments? Not? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the 2026 to 2028 IBEW Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 18, resolution number 2025-32, employee compensation for 2026. And again, Jameson, would you want to address this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So every year, we approve a fresh employee compensation resolution in time for the first pay period of the new year. And so that's what we're looking at before us today. This one was a little more involved this year as we were doing a wage study at the same time as we were creating the budget and at the same time as we were creating this resolution. So that wage study did a market comparison on all positions for the city and came back with identifying positions below the 40th percentile with recommendations for how to move those closer to the median pay. I will note that the step and grade table, which was handed out here before the meeting, is the same structure as it was in the past. The only change that was made is that there were some grades in the past that were about 10% apart, and we wanted to add grades in between so that as we were moving positions around, we could get as close to that median as possible. And so those new grades were put equally split between those grades that were 10% apart. So they're roughly 5% apart, again, split between those previous grades. Otherwise, there's a number of, I think, the 20-some positions that were adjusted for the wage study, and that's accounted for in here. I'll note that benefits last year were removed from the document, and so that's going to be the next agenda item, so we can clarify what the benefits will be for next year. But this establishes the positions, and it also establishes the pay changes for the new year. All employees, all non-union employees will be receiving a 2.5% COLA adjustment, and then the Teamsters will be receiving the 2.5%, and then the IBW, the 2.4% negotiated through their contract. We also noted on here that part-time, temporary, and seasonal employees of the city would receive a 3% cost of living adjustment, and that is because at 2.5%, some of the lower positions didn't receive the minimum wage increase that's mandated by the state. Every year that goes up according to CPI, and I think this year was a 35% increase, and there were some positions that at a 2.5% increase, we're not getting their 35-cent increase, so we upped that to 3%, and that is falling within the budget as well. I think I'll stand by there for any questions.
Questions or comments?
What's our total impact over from 25 to the 26 budget from the wage study, and then just the COLA? Do we know that dollar amount?
I can give you a rough dollar amount. I think about 570,000 is the rough number I have at my disposal. Amy, do you have anything better than that?
I don't have it with me.
Yeah. And so that includes the 2.5% COLA, the 1.5% step increases, and then the wage study adjustments, which take up the remainder that we had budgeted for of about 4.5%. So the total that we had budgeted in the budget was 8% across departments, and that goes across all line items, whether it's salaried or waged. And this falls within kind of right at that amount that we had total budgeted. I will note that we'll probably have to come back for an amendment to the appropriations ordinance at some point, because while we budgeted a sufficient amount in total, that was just a flat amount across all departments. And in some cases, salary items might need to be adjusted more or less in the waged line items, as well as some departments or funds would be handled differently with that wage study. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just trying to understand the total impact for future budgets.
Yep.
Other questions or comments?
So we've got, it's an easy one. The first one here, yours, Jameson, it's got a grade 34, but on this email, it was renumbered to a 33.
Yeah, that was just a typo. As we were renumbering all the grades, so as I mentioned, all the grades that were 10% apart had a new one put in there, and then we renumbered them, and that was just a mistake in the numbering as we got that out. 34 is the correct number.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-32, employee compensation for 2026.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Kelly, just second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 19, approve employee benefits at a glance. And again, Jameson, would you want to address this, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as I mentioned, the benefits used to be listed in every section of the resolution, and we found that to be cumbersome and lengthy. And so we have it in this one simple document, since benefits are uniform across departments. And so this is called an at-a-glance document, but it really provides all the details that employees would need to know for their benefits. Any further details beyond this would be terms and conditions of different benefits that are available. So this identifies the vacation, sick leave, all the different benefits, insurances, they're all listed within here, retirement contributions that are in here. I think the only change is that the boot allowance was increased from $150 to $200 a year, and that is a flat amount that is paid to the employee in the first payroll of the year. Otherwise, there weren't, I don't think, any changes that were identified. Of course, the insurance, that would be a change. The insurance, it gets updated every year, and then this year, the Employee Insurance Committee worked very hard on identifying what those changes would be, and they had added on a new insurance plan, and so you'll see not one but two plans for this year, along with the new numbers that came in from the South Dakota Health Pool. I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve employee benefits at a glance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 20, approve TIF number 7, developer agreement assignment. And again, Jameson, would you want to address this one?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. So this is an assignment for TIF number 7 for payments to be made directly to First Savings Bank. This is a fairly common action that is taken on our TIF districts. So essentially what happens here is the bank wants to see those payments made directly to them. And from the city's perspective, you know, we're certainly okay with that, and it does help to limit some of the, limit some of the city's exposure to anything that we'd have on our end. So there were a couple blanks that were missing here as far as dates. I was told that we would have, do you have those? Perfect. So our finance office does have those dates. Otherwise, we don't see any changes from the assignment agreement that was presented in the agenda packet. And those dates were just clarifying what the date is on the original development agreement that was approved, as well as the loan agreement that the developer had between the bank, which isn't a date that we had on hand. I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve TIF number 7 developer agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 21, approve the updated city administrator employment agreement. And again, Jameson or Amy, one of you want to address that?
I can tackle this. So obviously, this is the employment agreement I have as a city administrator. This is a standing agreement that was approved upon hire, and it stands until it needs to be amended. In this case, there's only one change that's being proposed, and that is to allow vacation time to be carried over. So unlike other city employees here, I get my vacation time up front on January 1, but then I have to use it by the end of the year, and that has proven to be challenging some years. So this allows the mayor to have the discretion to allow the unused vacation time to carry over to the next year as needed. And there's no payout in any of these hours either, so there's no payout considerations. stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the updated city administrator employment agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 22, discussion and action related to assessing liquidated damages on the Madison Water System Improvement Segment 5A project. Jameson or Ryan, either one of you want to tackle that one?
I'd be happy to.
Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it's attached to the agenda packet and up on the screen is a letter from Alex Welbig from Banner Associates, who's the professional in responsible charge. I believe Weston Blasius from Banner is also attending via Zoom. Mr. Welbig's letter goes into the summary of milestones and liquidated damage per day costs of $1,500 a day for substantial completion and $750 a day for final completion. And the total amount that has accumulated to date on the first page. On page 2, the letter lists in greater detail some of the completion dates, what was completed and when, along with costs incurred for additional engineering. And the last page of the 3 are the options that Banner and I have discussed regarding this project for your consideration tonight. Backing up to that first page, the summary of liquidated damages, Phase 1, which is the intersection of 4th Street and Union Avenue, and then 4th Street from that intersection going west approximately 550 feet, and from that intersection south about 300 feet was Phase 1. On that portion of the project, they exceeded the original contract date by 30 days. Phase 2 is the remainder of 4th Street from the point they left off with Phase 1 to Highland Avenue. That was set up, they were 33 days over the contract date of September 3rd. That project was set up, so both of those first 2 phases were completed in 2024, which they were, but they were just late. Phase 3 was the final phase of the project, which was the remainder of Union Avenue, and that's from the point they left off in year 1 down to Southwest 7th Street on Union Avenue. They were 21 days over the 35-day working day completion requirement. And then finally, last is final completion. They were 63 days past that August 15th, 2025 deadline per contract. The actual punch list completion was on November 14th, 2025. So the total amount of substantial completion days they passed the contract dates was 84 days at $1,500 a day. The final completion was 63 days at $750 a day. So the total liquidated damages amount to date is $173,250. Mr. Welbig mentions on page 2, due to Asphalt Surfacing Company missing these deadlines, it's resulted in additional Banner engineering costs for construction administration. These additional engineering costs are pretty substantial. On Phase 1 is approximately $42,000, approximately $58,000 for Phase 2, and approximately $34,000 for Phase 3, and then $12,000 for final completion. So total engineering costs that the city paid out, these are actual costs, is $146,450. That kind of takes us to the reason we're here, the 3 options that Banner and I have discussed and have provided for your consideration. Number 1 is that we take no action as far as modifying any contract dates. In that case, we would assess the liquidated damages that have amounted to date. That would be that $173,250. We would leave the contract dates as they are. Number 2 would be to change the milestone completion dates on Phase 1 to August 19th, which was the actual completion, Phase 2 to October 18th, 2024, which was the actual completion, and Phase 3 to August 12th, 2025, and final completion to November 14th. This would result in no days being considered for liquidated damages, thus $0 would be assessed. And then the last option that you have, it would be number 3, which is my recommendation. This would allow staff to negotiate with Asphalt Servicing Company as the prime to cover those additional costs incurred on the project due to the extending time limits beyond the contractual completion dates. And then, once we had that negotiation, we would present that to the commission for final approval. Banner's costs, as I'd mentioned, are shown at $146,450. It would be my intention to recoup all of those costs, plus make any consideration for extra time spent by city staff above and beyond what we expected. We did, as we knew we were past completion dates, we did try to keep it to one or the other. So if we had Banner staff, city staff weren't spending a lot of extra hours and vice versa. So there might not be a lot of extra, but that's something I'd still need to go through. Something that I could share with the contractor and negotiate from there. In the past, when we've assessed liquidated damages, we've done this third option, allowing a negotiation and then come back to the commission for approval. And I will stand by with any questions you have for me. And again, I think that Weston is also on the Zoom call if you have any questions for him.
And this was part of the project net where we had either staff or Banner there and no one showed up to do any work, if I remember right.
Yes, there were days where that happened, where, our project staff showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning to, monitor construction, and the contractor didn't show up for a couple hours. And then when they did show up, they were doing some of their maintenance activities like greasing equipment. And it's awfully tough for me to have Banner engineering staff here sitting in their pickup. And that was quite frustrating through the project. Of course, all of these days beyond the contractual obligation, that meant the roads were closed that much longer too. So, we didn't have traffic available.
Are weather days figured into these?
We had previously discussed weather days with the contractor, but they are not taken into account here. This is just simply, they had X amount of days to complete the project, and they're past those contract dates.
Sounds like you're being more than fair with your estimates.
I believe so. Yeah, I do believe it's fair. I think that it makes the city whole, but doesn't go any further than that. It just makes us whole.
And I mean, a contract is a contract. We can discuss further, but I'm ready to, the whole, what is it, 319,000, assess that. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, the total would be 173,250.
That's sorry, yeah. The total there, sorry.
Is this contractor Asphalt Service Pros, are they slated to perform work on any upcoming city projects?
We don't have them under contract anywhere. They've done a couple of projects the last few years. They do good work. We've been pretty happy with the quality of their work. They run into some issues with subcontractors, and I think that as we negotiate with that prime contractor, they're probably looking at negotiating with those subcontractors as well.
Is Banner willing to negotiate that resulting value, what they are compensated for, or are they a hard stop on the 146?
So they have been compensated those amounts. That's actual invoices that have been paid for their.
So
for
we're
their
just
services.
recouping that money at this point.
Yep. And I should add too, so this was SRF loans, and that's how we paid for these projects. However, if we assess these liquidated damages, we can use that money for whatever we want. We can use that to repay the SRF loans. We can use this for another project. Department of Ag and Natural Resources doesn't, it doesn't go back through them, I guess you'd say.
I guess my recommendation would be go for the full amount then, because I still don't think that makes us completely whole after you pay Banner. I mean, I think we're still getting
There's a lot of soft costs not figured in here. That
Yeah.
would be difficult to recoup.
Yeah, and I think if we were to look at recouping our city staff costs as well, I know Mike Plooster had people out there, I had people out there, we did a number of walkthroughs and a number of, punch list walkthroughs, and, it did require a lot more of our time than is typical. So I believe if we looked at staff time, plus banner time, we're probably getting pretty close to that 173,000 anyway.
Did the contractor have anything to say regarding this at all, or? Granted, I know the construction year was kind of interesting with, I mean, we had consistent rain all summer long.
We
which-
did, yeah,
but-
yeah. And we had kind of negotiated some of those wet weather days with them. We keep pretty good detail, pretty good track of how much rain fell, what work could have been completed. And, maybe they couldn't have dug in water mains that day, but there are other things that they could have been doing. And so some of those rain delay days, we knew that it maybe, made their work a little bit more inefficient, but there was still work that could be done on those days. So we counted those days as working days.
Sure.
You have the three options up there. What's the recommendation on that from the commission?
I'd make a motion, to assess the damages, liquidated damages in the amount of $173,250.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Number 23, award bid number 987 for chemicals. Jameson or Ryan, either one of you want to address that?
Yeah, I can tackle this one. So every year we bid out the purchase of chemicals for the next year. This is for 6 different schedules labeled A through F. As the bid tabulation shown on the screen and in your agenda packets show not only the amounts that we received from bids this year, but it also shows you historical look back from 2021 to 2025, so you can see how those pricings have changed recently. Schedules A, D, and F have seen an increase after they were relatively the same last couple of years, and then schedules B and E are the same, and Schedule C, which is the carbon dioxide, did not receive any bids. So we just purchased that on the market as able. So, yeah, we find the best pricing on that vendor. The recommended, amounts are shown there in bold. So, Schedule A for lime would go to Pete Lean and Sons, and then Schedules B, D, E, and F would go towards Hawkins. Stand by for any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? If not,
Where
do
do
we
we-
have a motion?
Where do we store all the chemicals now?
Yeah, these would all be out at the, kind of the treatment facilities, and they have, the appropriate rooms and containment for them.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Not? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to award bid number 987, purchase of the chemicals.
Second.
Just
We have a motion and a second.
for clarity, let's just do,
Each
since there's 2 different suppliers, let's just do Schedule A and then the other ones, if you're
Okay.
comfortable with that.
Would you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, I can amend my motion to count for Schedule A will be Pete Lean and Sons out of Rapid City, along with,
That's it.
that's it for Schedule A. Do you want to just do that one initially?
Yeah,
In the
I think that
amount of
sounds good.
$77,000.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have a motion in that for B, D, E, and F?
All right, so I'll make a motion to award bid number 987, chemicals for Schedules B, D, E, and F in the amount of $46,972 to Hawkins Inc. out of Roseville, Minnesota.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, number 24, authorize the mayor to sign the DSU wheeling agreement. And, Mike, is this something you would like to address?
Come on, Mike, they're tired of hearing from me.
Yes, I can address that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The DSU wheeling agreement is a new contract. I think last year we did a one-year renewal. So this year we're looking at updating the formula of how the DSU wheeling agreement does come across. It takes, all of our transmission, distribution, all of our line items. Amy, I don't have it off the top of my head, but, it's in the contract. The formula is on, second to last page. And it brings it more into what the industry is seeing for wheeling charges.
And this is something in that's been done for years with Dakota State University, and that, wheeling not only the WAPA, but the other, power in that they need through Heartland, so.
I think I might clarify that for anybody listening in the public too, is so the city receives power from the Western Area Power Association, so does DSU. They have a direct allotment from them. But in order for them to get the power that's allotted to them, they obviously have to have somebody wheel it to them, just like we have power wheeled to us. Once it gets to our system, we wheel it to DSU. And so this is gonna be a 5-year contract. We are currently finishing up a 1-year extension on the previous 5-year contract. And so the next 5-year contract then would be the same terms and conditions that were there before, with changes to section 5, which is charge for city wheeling, and then exhibit C, which shows how those wheeling calculations are done. And as Mike said, it's in line with what the industry typically sees, and this was done in close coordination with DGR as well.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Do we want a 5-year agreement?
I think so.
Better than.
We do have a CPIU adjustment in there, so it's good for both parties.
And if I remember right, in that we were on longer-term agreements before, so I don't remember exactly what they.
I think it was, the last one was a 5-year also,
Yeah,
with the
that's what I
1-year
was thinking.
extension, yep.
So this is not unusual, so. Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I can make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the DSU wheeling agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 25, authorize the mayor to sign the letter of intent between GIGA, Heartland Energy, and the city of Madison. And, Mike or Jameson, Mike, you want to tackle that one?
I know my words aren't as eloquent as yours, Jamison, but I'll give it a shot. So this, the letter of intent between Giga Heartland Energy and the city of Madison, it's basically a gateway for us to start talking about these data centers more with proprietary information, tell some details that we don't know right now because we're not into any sort of intent with them right now. So it basically shows that we have interest in moving forward with this. It doesn't lock us into anything as far as a contract states. If we were to decide that we didn't want to do anything with them, it's just lets us get to that next step to where we can start talking about more proprietary information.
Okay. Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the mayor, authorize the mayor to sign letter of intent between Giga, Heartland Energy, and the city of Madison.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We'll need 3 original signatures on those two, Amy.
Okay. Number 26, approved change order for Green Substation Site Grading Project 415935. And again, Mike, you want to address that one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This change order is a modification of a storm sewer manhole adjustment in the amount of $1,500. This changes a contract price from $184,184 to $185,684. The total cost of the project as complete is $185,573.69. So, there was an adjustment on the north side of the green sub with the grading that was there that we had to bring in a riser for the storm sewer manhole. So that got left out, and that's where that extra $1,500 change order is coming from. I will note that the original contract is $184,184. The original contract with the change order is $185,684. And then with the change order and the final payment with quantities there and everything is $184,573.69 for an additional difference of $389.69 with the change order.
And this has been completed?
Yes.
Okay. Other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the change order for Green Substation Site Grading Project number 415935.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 27, authorize the signature for the final review and acceptance letter on the reconstruction of the apron and taxi lane at the airport. Ryan, would you want to address that one?
Sure. This construction contract document serves to record the final review and acceptance of the apron and taxi lane project at the airport with the contractor. The federal and state closeout reports were submitted to the FAA and the South Dakota Department of Transportation in November. So this would be the final project acceptance document.
Okay. Questions or comments?
I'll make a motion, authorize the signature, final review and acceptance letter, reconstruct apron and taxi lane.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 28, December 2025 finance updates. Jameson or Amy, want to take that one on?
Doesn't like me today. So good evening. 2024 audit is well underway with field work going smoothly. All requested preliminary documents have been submitted and finance is working proactively with the audit team to address follow-up requests. They are currently finalizing fixed assets and governmental revenue. This update covers year-to-date through November of 2025, which is 91.6% of the year. Cash on hand, general cash 10.45 million, which includes investments of 2.68 million, checking of 2.43 million, money market of 574,000, other of 262,000, our electric construction account at 4.5 million, and our restricted cash at 639,000. Our revenue guidelines. In this, you'll see it, the percent over budget, again, tied to those conduit funds that are coming in and out for the daycare center and industrial park.
Do you have any concerns on any of these, Amy?
No, not really. I am looking to change the way this sets up next year in 2026. I'm going to look at extracting those funds that are conduit funds so it doesn't look so muddy for you guys. Expenditure guidelines.
Amy, I have a question on the tax increment districts. So tax increment districts 3, 5, and 6. typically the money that comes in for those, just, for the TIFs, just comes in and goes out, but the tax increments 3, 5, and 6 are not showing any expenditures, so what is that money doing?
Yeah, those are a flow-through account, goes back to the county. So I would have to look into each one of those to see where they are, and if we're actually getting the funds in for them, if they're flowing through.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that and follow up with you on those.
I know the TIF stuff is messy and confusing sometimes, so.
We are doing a whole TIF inventory and overhaul, going through every single one and where our increments are, where the balances are, where they're funding, when they end. We're about halfway through that right now. Profit and loss for November. Profit and loss year to date. Sales tax numbers did come in before our meeting this time. They are up by 10.69% for an overall of negative 1.73%.
I'm sure I know the answer, but anything to attribute it to?
Jameson, your wisdom here? Yeah, it's completely volatile. It's really hard to track what trend it is or not.
Let's hope it continues.
Yes, we're hoping for a 20 number next month.
That'd be great.
And that wraps up the finance update with a bang.
Questions or comments?
I'll make a comment on the agenda as a whole, if I may. So we've got, 28 items that were listed here tonight between consent, unfinished business, new business, and, every meeting we've got a lot of items. This was a big packet, and so I just want to thank the staff for putting a lot of this together. I was out for a few days, and you have a number of the staff in the room here presenting or participating, and you have many staff that aren't in the room that work every day to get these items put together. And I may sit up here doing a lot of the talking, but I really got to give credit to the staff, and I probably should do that every meeting, but you guys get tired of me saying the same thing, so I just want to make sure to give a shout out to a lot of staff who often go unrecognized and unnamed, and they're the reason why a big agenda like this can be put together.
All right. Do we have any public comment?
None on this end.
Seeing none, under announcements, our next regular commission meeting will be Monday, January 5th at noon. Note that it's a new time. Our first meeting of the month, and that will be at noon, and our second meeting of the month will be at 5:30. So the next meeting, January 5th, will be at noon here in the commission room. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.